Hi everyone, and welcome to this year's webinar about coping at Christmas whilst trying to conceive. My name's Sarah and I'm the Scotland branch coordinator at Fertility Network. So I will be hosting the session today with our lovely guest speaker, Tracey Sainsbury. Tracey is a fertility counsellor providing independent counselling for individuals and couples around all fertility issues and also at all stages of the fertility journey. We understand that facing Christmas and the festive season when you're struggling with painful fertility issues can be really hard. Today, Tracey is going to share her experiences and advice for dealing with fertility challenges alongside the festive holidays. Tracey has also had her own personal fertility journey and was actually one of our original employees when we became Fertility Network just over 20 years ago.
Gosh,
I
time
know.
ago.
Where does it go? So we've actually got some questions that have been submitted. So what we'll do is we'll just go through the questions and Tracey will give her advice on the questions that have been put forward.
Okay.
So the first one is that, so all the names have been changed, just to confirm that whilst I'm reading out these questions. So Jane has asked how to manage the questions around when we are having children, sharing that it feels much more pressurizing at Christmas. Do you have any tips?
It really does, doesn't it? You know, when you said 20 years ago, my goodness, I can remember it was like it was yesterday because it doesn't leave you. You know, personally, I don't think we heal. We just learn to carry stuff better. And that walking into any event, somebody saying, "Oh, great to see you. Have you got children yet? Are there any on the way? You've been married a while now." It's like an onslaught. There's a real physicality, bloody mean rude, you know, and quite offensive. Unless you know about fertility in general, you just think it was an okay question to ask. So I think it's really important primarily to acknowledge people routinely don't ask you if you've got children yet when you're starting a family, unless they think you'd make great parents. So we pause and acknowledge it's a compliment. But I think if you're in a group of people who you don't want to be uncomfortable with, I think being real and just saying, sadly, not yet, can often really shut people up. If you've said sadly, it closes it. Whereas if you say, oh, not yet, we're taking a time, maybe next year, people who are a bit more fertility aware can say, well, you're thinking of getting on with it. What about this? Or my friend waited a bit long. Whereas if you've said, sadly, not yet, or just being that bit more congruent, especially if it's people you'd normally be quite open with, it just sets that scene and almost gives a sense of might need some support around this in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So Claire wonders if you have any strategies to be more positive because she doesn't want to bring everyone else down.
Oh, yeah, you can really just feel in that the weight of emotion, of awareness of how that weight of negativity. And I think Christmas makes us think next year we can be a bit hopeful, but if it's been a longer journey, that weight of negativity, it can feel overwhelming, and we often don't want to bring other people down, but it starts with you. And if you are down and you're wasting energy beating yourself up, you're saying, come on, pull yourself together, get a grip, I've got to be positive. We can constantly feel like we're failing. It's like whatever we're doing just isn't enough. Whereas if instead we acknowledge the roller coaster, there are going to be highs, because if you're trying to conceive, you've got an abundance of love and hope and positivity in the mix, at least 51% of the time, because you're moving forwards with your plans. But 49% might be feeling negative, frustrated, angry, or upset. So for those times, we respond with compassion. So if we go into it thinking, if I'm down, what can I do to look after me? What can I do not to be hard on myself, not to beat myself up about it, but instead to be able to respond with compassion? Then you're not going to worry about being down. You're not going to worry about bringing other people down. I can begin to work out what gives me a boost, what plugs me into the energy stream a bit, what just puts a bit of extra compassion and warmth back in. Be more aware of your senses. You know, there's a hypervigilance with fertility stuff. If we think about what helps me to feel safe, grounded, secure, again, it's all those little things. What can I look at? What can I listen to? What can I touch? That just helps you to feel confident, comfortable, grounded. We can just breathe through it. So it's almost, don't worry about bringing other people down. Focus on you. If you're feeling down, you looking after you will stop other people coming down with you. Sorry, that was a bit waffly.
No, absolutely. Self-care is so important.
Yeah.
Joanna's son and daughter-in-law are going to be going through IVF next year. So the focus is all on her daughter-in-law, who is lovely, but what can she do to make sure her son has support too? And tell me how to get it right for them as a couple.
Oh, what a fab mother-in-law to have. She sounds great. Problem is, we can try too hard. So the greatest gift you can give anybody at any time, not just at Christmas, is your time. So checking in and making sure you're available, not too often, but just a little text. I'm here if you need to talk. I'm here if you need to offload. Do you want me to make you dinner? You know, if you turn up with a casserole, blooming marvellous. It can be the practical things that just nurture the part of you that's struggling. The men's fertility support group, the one on Zoom held by Fertility Network UK, men only, camera on, camera off, talk if you want to, listen if you just prefer. The feedback I have from my independent male clients, so my male clients who are attending counselling not as part of a couple, it's consistently so positive. It's about how it validates the helplessness, that there's nothing you can say or do to make it better.
Mm-hmm.
Men and women process so differently.
Yeah.
It's like the same emotional roller coaster, but you're in different cars. If you try too hard, oh my goodness, it can just feel exhausting for both of you. So if I can't remember the couple's names, but if his mum is trying to be helpful, knowing about Fertility Network UK, the men's groups, there's the monthly men's Zoom group, there's the Him Fertility group online, there's another men's Facebook group online, closed group, so other people can't see that you're a member, it's quite private. Again, just making sure they know there is the resources there for them individually and together. Knowing about BICA, the British Infertility Counselling Association, we hope, fingers crossed, that there's counselling available for them at their clinic. But it is sometimes knowing you can look for specialist support outside the clinic with a specialist counsellor. Again, can give that reassurance that that support's there for both of them, individually and together.
Yeah. And our male only support is so important, and it's not just for men who are experiencing male factor infertility. It's also just for men who want that support as well, or maybe just want to support their partner a bit better. You know, and again, just having that male only space, it's really, really good. It's a group that's really, really popular.
About, oh gosh, again, 20 odd years ago, one of the support groups where I used to go and speak at, working for Fertility Network UK, was in Woking. And there was one particular group that stayed in mind. One chap started speaking. Oh, the women didn't get a look in. It was like suddenly when you give men permission to speak, they will. But often they want to let the woman get support, let the female be supported, so can stay a bit quiet. It's again, find your space, find your people.
Absolutely. So Una and her partner usually go to each other's parents for the holidays, but this year it all feels too much. I know I want you to say we don't have to go, but how can I not go? What do I need to say, and how can I be okay with doing what we want to do? My partner seems okay with doing whatever I want.
Oh, that's so irritating, isn't it? Partners often say, well, do whatever you want. I've got one of those. People get into traditions. We'll go to your parents this year, your parents next year, and we'll do it this way, that way. Or we always go to one parent's for Christmas and we'll go and see other family for New Year or Boxing Day or whatever. And when the weight of a fertility journey feels too great, that can be with starting a new tradition. We're going to go away. We're going to have Christmas with you the weekend before. It can just be, we're coming for dinner, we're stopping overnight, but it's a more manageable experience. We're just going to come the second week in January, and we're just going to have a winterval break with you, rather than it be about the whole Christmas thing. We spoke at the fertility show last year, one of the sessions that we did at the fertility show.
Yeah.
Thinking about stress tips in general. Oh gosh, they got a lot of attention because I'd said, you know, reconnect intimacy, reclaim sex for fun. It can be that space. If you're creating a new tradition to have that time out, getting back to the you were before you started trying. You might continue to stay on the healthy eating bit, not overindulging, not drinking too much or whatever, but again, you might just want to practice sex for stress relief. You know, it's that release some positive endorphins in a different way and just have a bit of fun. You know, you're in a sassy teenager, can want to go and do something loud and fun and out there, or just huddle under a duvet and watch movies without having to think of other people. So again, it's listen to what your body wants to do, but give that reassurance to the people who love you and care for you. We're not coming because you've got to worry about us. We are really taking great care of ourselves. So we're going to see you at a different time. As long as you've made a plan as to what you're going to do instead, and they're not going to be worried about you, they can often relax a bit more and you can have that fun.
Yeah, sounds like a really good balance to have, actually. And it is really important to remember each other as a couple in a relationship in this journey, because it is really, really tough.
Sex especially can become so methodical, timed, clockwork. And actually, you know, sex is great for stress relief. So we get right back to primal basics. That hasn't got to be intercourse. Skin on skin contact, you know, is healing, reparative acceptance of yourself and each other in your skin.
Yes. So Richard has asked a practical question. So we've been trying to conceive for a year now, and I want to get my wife something for Christmas that means something. Do you have any ideas?
Oh, again, we've got really thoughtful questions coming in, you know, great to have that awareness. Some people like surprises. Some people like to be asked. So I always think if there's enough money in the pot to do both, asking what somebody would like. If you've got something in mind, again, thinking about feelings on your body, I think a voucher for a massage can be great. You know, we carry so much stress and tension in our bodies, and often with fertility stuff, a massage isn't going to get rid of it. It's not going to make it better, but it can validate how much stress we're carrying, and it can put you in a safe pair of hands. So I think a massage can be great. A journal. Just the thing about journals is sometimes you can put yourself under so much pressure to write a novel, and it has to be neat, that it can be real pressurized. So if you've written a note in there, this is a safe space for you to share anything. I love you. I know I can't always fix it, but I'm always here for you. Given that reassurance right at the front page, but an opportunity just for them to journal what they want to as they're moving forwards in their journey. It's again such a thoughtful present. But asking, journaling, massage, something personal. But I oddly always think a bit of a makeover or something can be fun as well, because we can lose so much of our femininity, which sounds quite sexist. I'm all for a makeover for men too, if that's the thing. But again, it's that, you know, anything that just is a bit pampering, because it can just feel so exhausting.
Yeah, absolutely. Some feel-good treatments are really, really good. And having a journal can be really helpful as well, and writing things down, it can be really therapeutic. So Caroline has got in touch, and she has underlying anxiety and planning treatment added to things feeling stressful. Her usual go-to CBT helping techniques aren't working. If she's looking for regular support and or skills, what can you advise?
Especially as fertility counsellor, definitely. You know, the surveys from 2016 and 2020 with Fertility Network UK reinforced 40%, around 40% of people going through fertility treatment can have suicidal thoughts, 80 to 90% anxiety and depression. Anybody who says, oh, you're going through IVF, you've got to be relaxed, they don't know about IVF. It puts you in a life-changing, hopefully life-creating situation where there is no control or ability to influence the outcome. Let's embrace the stress and manage it well. When we look at really low-level CBT, primary care treatment for anxiety or depression, we look at challenging thoughts and feelings so we can change the way we think, change the way we feel, and cope better for longer. But with fertility treatment, the highs are there because you want to create new life. The lows are there because there will be no new life if treatment's not created. So we want you to embrace the roller coaster. You know, I, in my practice, use the skills and strategies from dialectical behavioural therapy and acceptance and commitment therapy that are more commonly used for post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar, borderline personality disorder, so significant mental health conditions, where the highs are as high as you can go and the lows are very low. The same highs and lows that we have for fertility. There's a really good book called The Happiness Trap. That's an old book, but it came out, there was a renewal of it, I think last year or the year before, but it's got loads more practical tips and strategies in there. It's a really, it's just a good read, but have a look at The Happiness Trap on Amazon and see if the reviews suggest it would be useful. And in terms of regular support, again, always find an accredited specialist fertility counsellor, BICA, www.bica.net, the British Infertility Counselling Association. We get the trauma. It's not sit here with your cheerleader pom-poms trying to promote an air of positivity. It is that let's be real, embrace it, put in place the emotional scaffolding. So if you have a wobble, someone's got your back. You know, it's a team. Fertility Network UK helpline on the phone, blooming marvellous. The support group's fantastic, and having that one-to-one support can really promote that safe place. Again, hopefully through your clinic, but know there are specialist counsellors there too.
Thank you. I'll have a look at that because, well, Tracey, we do share books on our website that have helped people on their journey, so I'll add that on there too.
It's a really good one. It's great for pregnancy and parenting too, not just the fertility stuff.
Okay. So Nikki has shared that they sadly had a miscarriage last year after their NHS treatment and are moving to a new clinic, self-funding, next year. What should they look at and how important is counselling and support provided by the clinic?
As a counsellor, I'm obviously going to say that counselling and support is really important. More and more of the private clinics are doing paid for counselling. And in some ways it makes you value it more. In some ways, I'm all for counselling being free wherever possible, but I also acknowledge that if it's offered and it's a paid for service, I'm going to be really terrible now, but factually honest, people tend to not miss an appointment if they're paying for it, whereas in some of the services where counselling is offered free of charge, we can have quite a high appointments, sadly, that aren't attended. And life gets busy, so we understand that. But again, it's that the support can be really important. But again, it's that trust your body. Pre-COVID, I'd say look at the clinics that are around you, walk in, see how you feel. You know, and it's almost, if they've got an open day, I'd go along. Or if it is walkable, inable to, you know, pop in and ask for an information pack, or just pop in and say, when's the next information event? If you've got a choice of two, checking the journey, really physically checking the journey. If it's a 20-minute drive one way or half an hour the other way, do the journey. If the half-hour drive is calming and peaceful, but the 20 minutes one is a bit of a mare, you want to feel good about going on the journey. You want to walk in and feel, I feel I'm in a safe pair of hands here. I feel you've got my back. I'm going to feel okay, come in here. Every doctor, the HFEA who regulate treatment, are so robust, so established. Every doctor is going to want to get you pregnant, but every doctor will have a slightly different way of doing it. So again, it's that recognise your autonomy, use the webinars, use the open days, check them out. Fertility Network UK have a great fact sheet around choosing a clinic and the questions to ask. But I really always say trust your body. You know, we're all a bit quirky. Whatever happened in one cycle may or may not happen if it was replicated, because we all respond a bit differently in different cycles. So a lot of it is trust how you feel, and don't overthink it with your head. That makes sense.
Yeah. And also just to highlight as well that Fertility Network UK have a pregnancy loss support group.
Yeah.
That's via closed Facebook and also WhatsApp. And we are here for you to provide that support for anyone who's been on a journey struggling to conceive and also experience loss after fertility treatment. So again, get in touch and I'll provide the details at the end of the webinar.
I think a lot of people who have experienced loss sadly think they've got to reach a point where they've healed or they're fine before they go again. I think sometimes that's a bit of a fantasy place. We carry stuff better. I'm reminded of that Japanese art form, kintsugi, where if you've got a beautiful piece of porcelain and it's broken or damaged, they repair it with gold. So it's even more beautiful and stronger. And it is that, you know, recognize the strength where there is the drive, desire, where you're ready to move forward again. Not forgetting what's happened in the past, because just treatment can re-traumatize any loss you've experienced. So it is about putting in place that support around you, not thinking you've got to be 100% ready to move forwards.
Yeah. So Lou is planning treatment as a single person next year. Should I tell people now or wait until I need them or when I've got good news? I don't see my family often and we're all together at Christmas.
Trust your body. If you're there and you're with them and it feels, yeah, I'm going to share, I'm going to let them know I'm having treatment. I always suggest, if you've got a big family or a big team of friends, big group of friends around you, and you're in treatment, have a bit of a lag. We're doing treatment. I think my transfer is going to be sometime next week. I'm not going to let you know the exact day, but I'll give you an update when I've got one. If you say to people, I'm going in this day and I'm testing that day, they're almost nagging for an outcome. Whereas if you've given yourself a bit of a lag, just gives you that time to get your head around it and make sure things have settled before you have to give an update. But in terms of letting people know, you'll get if you go with a fixed plan and you're not feeling it, you feel like you've let yourself down by not talking about it. And if you go thinking you're not going to say anything and you do, you've let yourself down by talking about it. Whereas if you say, right, this is what's happening, if it feels appropriate to talk about it, I'll mention it. And if it doesn't, I won't. It's a win-win.
Yeah, trust yourself.
Yeah.
Again, Fertility Network UK, we've got a fertility group, a closed fertility group for women who are on a solo journey for treatment. So again, it's on our website and I'll talk about that at the end.
Yeah.
So Kerry's mum keeps telling her to be grateful for what she does have and to find joy in the things that she does have. She asks, how do you do that when it feels so hard?
I think I mentioned earlier, when you're on a fertility journey, theory according to Tracey is our senses become super hyper vigilant. Anytime we're in trauma, our senses are that bit more hyper vigilant, so we can be more aware of any trigger. It can feel that you step foot outside your front door and people are pregnant. They're just put there to annoy you and spoil your day. You know, they weren't even trying, they're just there, they're everywhere. And it can feel quite abusive and persecutory because we live in such a pronatal society where women especially can judge others by whether or not they have a child. So absolutely, your hypervigilance, hypersensitivity can be honed for fear, for risk, for triggers. But that same hypersensitivity, hypervigilance, we can flip to be equally aware of the glimmers, the positives, the shiny things in life that put the energy in. And it is that, just be balanced, not in having to stay calm in the middle, but aware of the highs and the lows. If you're having a down moment and you're thinking you shouldn't have it, we feel ashamed, embarrassed for having a negative thought. If we're getting very carried away, we think, well, should be positive for what I've got to stay up here. No, we're going to come down. So it is that, be real, equally recognize and allow yourself to have the moments to acknowledge the beauty, to acknowledge the little things in life. I have my favorite cup. So it's got a pattern inside, and when I'm doing a lecture, I talk to quite a few first year medical students, and they're raucous bunch. They're normally quite rowdy and a little bit questions. Blah, blah, blah. So I have a picture of my cup on my phone, because I think, right, tomorrow I'll be back in my office. And again, it's about that, creating your own sensory toolkit of things that help you to feel grounded in the moment if you get carried away. And when we have our grounding skills, it doesn't matter if we've been triggered, because we know it'll pass. We're not going to do a battle with it. We're just going to acknowledge it. And if we feel there's something shiny, sparkly and happy, we're going to allow ourselves that moment. And it is just absolutely embrace the positives, but equally give yourself permission to be real about the triggers and how impactful they are too.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tracey. That's the end of the questions for the webinar, and thanks for sharing your advice and experience with us today. So to anyone who's listening or watching this webinar, if you're in need of support, please get in touch. We know that there's no one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to fertility, and that's why we offer a wide range of resources and support. All of our services are free at Fertility Network, and you can find out more about all our support on our website at www.fertilitynetworkuk.org. Wishing lots of love and best wishes to you all at this time, and take care of yourself. Bye. Thank you.